second best player in the world, Nadal, against the third best, Djokovic. But many feel that it's the Serbian that will give Federer a run for his money at most throughout the course of 2008. It's been very interesting to see who prevails there. Djokovic was poor in his previous round, whereas Nadal was sensational against Blake. So I think the Spaniard certainly has the edge coming into that one. Then Federer will play his first match in a couple of days against Mardy Fish, who had a huge win yesterday, eventually beating David Normandian 7-6 in the deciding set. Federer, of course, didn't play. He was due to take on Tommy Haas, had to withdraw with sinus problems. So although Federer's been in good form throughout the course of the tournament, he would be disappointed he wasn't able to play yesterday, because of course he does need matches. But Fish has been riding a tsunami-sized wave of support throughout the tournament. It'll be interesting to see whether he has enough gas left in the tank. Well, both matches promise much, but of course it's the first one, Robbie, that we're very much privileged.
Gentlemen, once again, TV changeovers, and we continue to watch the 5-minute warm-up and the time between points. And the challenge system is on. Our friend is on. Any questions? Novak, heads or tails? Head? It's a head. Sir first. Okay. Good luck. Good luck.
Djokovic wins the toss and elects to serve. Making his intentions very clear. Not a cloud in the sky again today. We've been blessed with some incredible weather throughout the week. It was pretty rough last weekend, but we managed to get through it without too much ado. It was a bit breezy and it was a bit chilly. But this week it's been absolutely sensational. Couldn't wish for anything more, really. This stadium is filling nicely. It's the second largest in North America, behind the Arthur Ashe Stadium at Flushing Meadows. And you couldn't have wished for a stronger semi-final lineup. Fish, of course, is the odd one out, defeating Normandian yesterday 7-6 in the third. A terrific match. He beat Hewitt 7-6 in the third in the previous round as well. So he's been riding his luck. I just feel that it's a match too far for him today against Federer.
But I think the nice thing about having Mardy in the semi-finals is it adds a bit of an American flavour to a North American event, and of course the fans will be eating that up. So that is the nice thing about having Fish here in the last four.
Well, Djokovic, of course, has already achieved so much. He's only 20 years of age, born in Belgrade, still lives there, 6'2", 165 pounds, so relatively slender, really, compared to some of his peers. And crucially, one of those 8 singles titles is a Grand Slam, having been successful down in Melbourne, defeating Wilfried Tsonga in the final. But of course it was the match against Federer that excited everybody, because I was just so impressed with the way that he handled the pressure, how he improved after the loss to Federer at the US Open in the final.
Yes, and let's not forget he was down a break early on in that opening set in Australia, so you know things could have got ugly very easily for Djokovic. But it's a testimony to this guy's mental strength and his self-belief that he's able to overcome these difficult situations and dig deep. And that's what you need to do to be the #1 player in the world and to beat the very best players in the world.
Got good memories from this tournament last year, because it was the first time he'd ever made it through to the final of the Masters Series event. He was really nervous, wasn't he, when he played against Nadal and played poorly, but it was amazing how quickly he learned from that to beat him and go on to win in Miami.
Well, that's the point. That's an excellent point you make, because it was such a quick role reversal from this time last year to just a week later in Miami, where he did turn the table so impressively on Nadal, because Nadal didn't play badly in Miami. And again, he's one of these guys who learns so quickly. That's what I love about him. If he does get beaten by a player, he goes back and looks what sort of adjustments he needs to make the very next week. What does he do? He beats Nadal in straight sets.
A couple of good wins this week. Kohlschreiber and Kanyas were both dispatched in straights. His last match, as you mentioned, Robbie, against Wawrinka, was a poor one, a lot of unforced errors, but he said afterwards, crucially, he found a way to win, and that's what great match players, as opposed to ball strikers, are able to do. And of course, if you're talking about great match players, he's one of the very best. He played a lot of tennis, racks up a lot of victories, and he said at the beginning of this tournament that he needed to get a few matches under his belt, and I think that's why it's been so interesting to see him play just that little bit better in each of the matches. And he said in particular after the win against Wilfried Tsonga, when he was 5-2 down in the third, he really did take an awful lot of confidence from that win.
And I think the fact that he's played a couple of long matches going into here with the 3 sets against Blake and Tsonga, I think that holds him in good stead, even more so, because as you said, he likes to hit a lot of balls when he plays. So going into this match, he's going to be feeding the ball very nicely on the strings, I think.
Of course, he's already won 9 Masters Series Shields, which is very, very impressive considering he's only 21 years of age, and he's not a one-trick pony either. He can play well on all sorts of different surfaces, because obviously he's been a finalist at Wimbledon the last 2 years as well, and that's what's impressed an awful lot of people. The only time of the year he seems to play poorly is after Wimbledon, going up through the US Open, and that's where obviously he will be looking to improve this season. He was impressive against Donald Young, played really well in their third round encounter, but it was the match we mentioned against Tsonga that really turned things around for him. And the match against Blake was of very high quality, some great shot making for both, and it was the way that he turned up the heat on Blake in that third set, in the one game that he broke, which was really impressive as far as I was concerned. I think he's going to need to do more of the same today.
Absolutely. 4-3 in the third against Blake. You saw him start going after Blake's second serve and hit a couple of crucial winners, and I think that same sort of tactic is going to hold him in good stead against Djokovic as well, because the second serve of Djokovic is attackable, no question about that.
Now, these guys have played an awful lot in the past. In total, 8 encounters, but crazily 7 of them played last year. So these guys know one another's games well. They've played 4 times on a hard court. The first time obviously was last year in Indian Wells. In the final, Nadal won that one, as we mentioned, comfortably 2-5. Djokovic got his revenge 10 days later in Miami, and then they played in Montreal, where Djokovic beat the top 3 players in the world in back-to-back matches. The Serb winning that one 5-3, but Nadal got his revenge in the Tennis Masters Cup in China, when it has to be said Djokovic was tiring a little bit. So in terms of the way they play recently on a hard court, perhaps you would give Djokovic the edge, but I just have that feeling that Nadal might be really up for this one, and the way the matches have gone before this one might give him the edge, but it's still an incredibly close one to call.
It is. It always is when they take to the court, because they are such
1 minute.
terrific competitors. Neither one of them is going to go away, no matter how poorly they're playing. And that's why these two guys find themselves right near the top of the pile in the men's game.
A little bit of local talent in the chair as well. Interesting, Robbie, to get your thoughts on this. Nadal's ranked number 2 in the world, Djokovic number 3, but of course all that Djokovic has been able to achieve already this season, in my mind, everyone expects him to win this match, or at least put him as the slight favourite, even though he's ranked a little lower than Nadal. Would you agree with that?
It's a tough one, because how much past history do you take into account? I'm a guy who likes to look at current form. So I tend to agree with that comment. Current form, I think he is the guy who will be the slight favourite, and that's why I've picked him as well, from what I've seen in the last just couple of months, as the number 1 challenger to Roger Federer this year. He's been playing aggressively, he's taking the ball a little bit earlier, and that's something I like, something that Nadal perhaps needs to do a little bit more, I think, Jason.
I agree with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Novak Djokovic won the toss.
Because, of course, this time last year the pressure was on Nadal, and no one expected Djokovic to challenge as readily as he was able to do throughout the year the likes of Federer. They thought he was going to be an excellent player, but he really shot to prominence with all that he was able to achieve in 2007. So coming into this one, with everybody talking about the fact that he might one day be number 1 in the world, and the fact that he has won a Grand Slam title already this year, means that he has to handle that added burden of expectation. So far, he's handled it well, but in matches like this, it can affect you.
It sure can, and it's a completely different feeling. It's that expectation. Often a lot of players coming to the fore aren't able to handle it. We saw Federer struggle for a while. I mean, the greatest player in the world right now, when he did so well beating Pete Sampras back in Wimbledon, for the next year, 13, 14 months, he really struggled with that weight of expectation. The same can't be said for Djokovic. He's handled it very well so far.
Nadal too has handled the pressure, especially on clay. 3-time French champion, of course, but just as handy on the hard court, especially one paced like this one, which is relatively slow. Nice coarse top surface, makes the ball check when it hits it, and it takes spin readily too, so that obviously suits Nadal's game. So this one is a mouth-watering prospect. It's a repeat of last year's final. It is very, very difficult to call.
Ready for
Bookies
play.
have Djokovic as the slight
set,
favourite.
Novak
There's
Djokovic to
very little in
serve.
it. Surely it will come down to who's able to execute their game plans best when it really matters. Lovell.
15 love.
Lovely to see both players coming out the blocks firing. Perhaps just a little short on the approach shot for Nadal. And we know how lethal the backhand is of Djokovic. Especially that one down the line.
Interesting to be a fly on the wall after the quarterfinal encounter with Wawrinka as to whether they really discussed it at length or pretty much just swept it under the carpet and said, let's forget about that, let's concentrate on the next match. It was a nightmare, you got a W, it's all that counts.
Game Djokovic.
That's a much brighter start for the third seed.
First game.
Yeah, it's always a fine balance you've got to try and strike as a coach, is how much to berate your charge or how much you've got to encourage him. And I think on a performance like what Djokovic had against Wawrinka, you kind of just got to let that one slide, because we all know that's not how Djokovic normally plays.
Interesting too, talking to some of these Spanish commentators, the ex-players here, after Nadal's win over Blake, and they all agreed with us that the way he was able to break Blake's serve in that third set with those aggressive forehands by standing up the court was the way that he needs to play more if he's going to challenge the likes of Djokovic and Federer. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he's able to do that when it really matters today. Because if he does have a failing, it's when he gets a little tight, a little negative, plays a little too deeply behind his own baseline and tends to drop the ball a little short, and that allows his opponents to dominate.
Yeah, you can get away with that on a clay court, but not on this kind of surface or any indoor surfaces as well.
He's been practicing hard this week. Francisco Roig's been hitting a few balls as well. Not quite with the same racket head speed or work on the ball, but not bad. He's got Uncle Tony back home. Variation on serve. It's going to be interesting to see where Nadal tends to serve today too, because we know Djokovic has got such a good backhand return. As a lefty, Nadal would usually just pepper that wing when playing against the right-hander, but today I think he's going to have to vary it a bit more.
see Nadal just to add a little bit more to his repertoire. He hits the forehand cross court so well, and I feel sometimes he doesn't go down the line enough, just like he does there. Because it enables him to open up the court nicely to hook the forehand cross court.
Goes for both players. I think variation the key today. Trying to keep the opposition guessing. It's a warm one today, and Djokovic did say he struggled a little bit in the heat against Wawrinka. Nadal never seems to have such problems. We'll have to keep an eye on how heavily Djokovic is breathing after some of the long rallies that is sure to ensue. Risky business going up the line, but it's usually a shot that he can play with alarming regularity. If you hit the ball ever so slightly late, you do run out of court. And you can gift your opponent a lot of cheap points. First chance to break.
There was a nice change of pace in that rally from Djokovic, just electing to play the short roller on the forehand. Just trying to outmaneuver. That's one of the intriguing battles that always takes place when these two play. Just trying to outmaneuver one another. It's like a game of chess out there.
Still break point. Nadal's made a very solid start. Just one unforced error.
Nadal leads 2 games to 1.
Life very difficult for Djokovic. The champion, right to the goal. Nadal's tennis garden, suitably bedecked.
Time.
Glorious flowers framing this stadium #1 court, built specifically to house this
Seats,
event.
please. Thank you.
All sold out today and tomorrow. They were last weekend too, so it's becoming increasingly popular. Nadal. Break to the good, 2-1.
Yeah, good footwork is the key to taking this ball nice and early. You can see just about a meter inside the baseline as he executes a shot. That's key when you play against Nadal. You've got to try and rush him because he is one of the best athletes in this sport.
In any sport, surely.
Mr. Nadal is challenging the call. Right side, far sideline.
Took his time.
It's called out.
Wanted to go and see the mark. The ball does leave one of these hard courts, especially the Corsa. It's well wide.
Nadal stands. It's 15-30. Mr. Nadal has one challenge remaining.
Players have only been successful about 36% of the time this week with the challenges. Nadal has successfully overturned 2 of 5 calls that he's challenged.
Swift response from Djokovic. Finds himself with an opportunity to break back right away.
Game Djokovic.
That was a poor game by Nadal, considering his lofty
2 games
standards. Squandering the early advantage. 2 apiece. Tennis.
15 love.
As soon as he recognizes the ball is short, he's moving forward. And again, Nadal very predictable with the forehand cross court. Djokovic well aware of that.
all.
It can be very effective for Nadal today.
Yeah, it helps him open up the court a bit because, first of all, twofold. It's going to the weaker side of Djokovic, the forehand side. And secondly, just takes Djokovic out of his comfort zone. He's one of these players who also likes playing from his backhand corner, dominating with his backhand and running around it to hit forehands.
Size just keeping it a little lower too, so that's a sensible shot. Forcing Djokovic to cover the greatest distance on the court.
And Djokovic.
Solid intelligent serving there.
Djokovic leads 3 games to 2.
Nadal started the brighter of the two, but Djokovic is overall fit. At this stage in the set, players really will have rid themselves of those early match nerves.
Time.
They'll start to assess how well they're playing, how comfortable they're feeling out there on the court, and how well they think their opponent's playing as well, what shots are working for them and what shots aren't. Also trying to take into consideration any fine-tuning of their opponent's game plan. Do they normally serve into the body this much?
Seats at the ends of the court.
Favourite serves. Clocking all that.
Ready for play.
In an attempt to use that information in the most vital stages of the match. Winners. Eventually, just missing wide. Great reaction from Djokovic. He's brought his A game today. suggest it was very close.
Love 30.
Steve Ulrich confirming that he agreed with the linesman's decision. I think it will be one of the things that makes matches between these two such great spectacles is the fact that they can both defend so well. So the rallies do go on longer and longer when they're both playing well. It's terrific to watch. He's making a conscious effort today, Nadal, to serve a little more to the forehand than he would normally do against the right-hander at first serve.
Posterior number 6 now off the forehand side for Djokovic. Just got to be careful. Fortunately, the ones he has missed by quite a bit. It's always a bit of concern.
A little bit of an adjustment period because Nadal has so much spin on the ball that he does kick up off the course more viciously than the other players, and therefore you are going to catch it a little late. Absolutely, and if your racket head isn't just in the perfect position, and if you're not accelerating through the ball nicely, that's what happens. It slides off the strings. Initially in that game, Nadal
3 games all.
Responded well, nice and solid. He forces you to come up with really good shots to gain the upper hand whenever he takes to the court. It can be very wearing mentally for opponents, always having to take the risks. Got the pace, it was 120 miles an hour. It's the variation Nadal not picking it at all.
Game Djokovic.
Excellent service going all
Blue balls. Djokovic leads 4 games to 3.
Increased in confidence as we head towards the business end of this opening set. Still a little bit those errors coming off the forehand.
Needs to change it up.
Time.
High noon-ish in the desert. Two of the most dangerous gunslingers in town facing off against one another in the first of today's semi-finals. As Djokovic holds a slender lead. Djokovic, we know that the Serb can defend extremely well, but he will run out of patience, as he did there, and try and go for broke. And it's tough to pull those shots off with any kind of regularity at all when you're under that much pressure. He's working hard.
Shot though, you know you missed it.
I agree with you. Sends the right message to Djokovic. Says, I'm going to attempt to hurt you if you drop the ball short. And I might have missed that one. I'm not going to miss it all afternoon. So on a big point, be ready.
That time going to the forehand. Just been a little bit predictable on the deuce court. He's done a good job on the ad side of mixing up the serve, has Nadal.
It's an excellent combination from Nadal.
Wide serve followed by aggressive forehand. Play that would have been ingrained in his game growing up on clay courts.
Ball!
I almost thought he was thinking that Djokovic was going to hit a better backhand cross court, and Djokovic hit that one hard down the middle. It's not a bad play.
Attacking the forehand, that's the tactic that a lot of players that have success against Nadal are able to execute on a regular basis. The likes of Burdick, usually, and Blake do it exceptionally well against the Spaniard. Now 0.53. So I think it's a correct one. But he's just having a few problems, Robbie, with that forehand.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Just getting the amount of spin wrong. Missed that one by quite a bit. Some of the forehands he has been going for have been missing by a good deal.
8 unforced errors now off that wing out of a total of 11.
I still think it's always easier to make the adjustment when you're going for it, like he is, and if you're very tentative with the shot. You have to watch that shot for a duration of this match. And there's a good example. Going for the same shot again. Whenever you've got good rated head speed, more often than not, it's going to hold you in good stead. Unloads on that forehand. That's what sets up this point. Nadal covering too much real estate at the moment. He's the one who's doing all the defending.
With Nadal.
You played while you were serving. Now he's serving, and you want to stop? That's not fair.
That's not fair.
Can I call him, and then he's on his way?
Tell me what is fair?
Can I call him, and then he's on his way, and then at the changeover, he'll take care of you? No?
Yeah, that's a good decision by the umpire. I really like the attitude.
This is my job.
Because Nadal wants to see the trainer. He's got
Djokovic leads 5-3.
Steve Ulrich saying it's not fair to play your service game and then ask for the trainer before Djokovic serves for the set. So I'll call the trainer, but let's get some treatment in the change of ends. And I think umpire's absolutely right.
Well done, Steve. Spot on.
So common sense, for once, prevailing in terms of injury timeouts. Excellent official. Really good stuff from Steve Ulrich. as far as Djokovic is concerned. Despite the problems that he's had on the forehand, he's doing very well indeed. Shaky start where he dropped the second service game. Things have gone remarkably well for Djokovic. Set point.
Game first set. Djokovic. 6 games to 3.
Lasted just 41 minutes.